Well, I'd like to share a story with you now. And the story starts with a farmer out in his field, just working the ground, and all of a sudden he hits something. Clang! And so he gets down, and he starts uncovering the ground around it, and he's moving the ground, and he pulls it up, and it's heavy, and it's big, and he's smiling, and he brushes it off. It's a golden treasure chest. Oh, this is great. Oh, I'm so happy. What shall I do with it? Oh, I know. We were given this land by our king, and therefore I should turn the treasure chest back to our king. And maybe, just maybe, he'll give me a portion of the treasure. And so he went back to his home with this treasure chest, as big and beautiful as it was, and he enters the home and, Caitrin, come quick, you must see what I have found. And so Caitrin, his daughter, came and she looked at it. Oh, Papa, it's as lovely can be, but it's missing something. What do you mean it's missing something? Well, Papa, where's the key? Well, I searched all around. I searched the ground. I could not find the key. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it to the king. Oh, Papa, you mustn't do that. Surely the king will say to you, silly old man, what am I to do with a treasure chest without the key? Oh, you just never mind. I'm going to give this to my king, and he will pay me handsomely for it. You just never mind, you silly girl. And so he left and started walking down the road with that big treasure chest. And he walked slowly because it was heavy, and he finally arrived at the guard palace, and they looked at him, what are you doing? And he says, oh, I have a present for the king, and I'd like to give it to him, if I may, to see if he would accept it. And so they escorted him into the court of justice, and there he presented the king. My lord, my majesty, please, I would like you to take this treasure chest. Oh, it is a beautiful, beautiful treasure chest. Beautiful indeed. But it's missing something. What am I to do with the treasure chest without the key? Oi, it's just as she said. It's just as who said? Oh, my lord, my daughter Caitrin, she told me that you would say that what good is a treasure chest without the key? Well, she was right. She must be a clever girl indeed. Oh, she is very clever. She is very, very clever indeed. Now, let's see just how clever she is. I have 3 riddles that I'd like her to solve. Okay, my lord. The first riddle is, what is the swiftest thing on earth? What is the sweetest thing on earth? And what is the most treasured thing on earth? What is the richest thing on earth? Was the third riddle. Okay, my lord. Now, I want you to return here at this very same time tomorrow with the answer to those 3 questions. And if you don't, off with your head. Yes, my lord. Well, the farmer, he wasn't really too sure what to do about this, but you surely could not argue with the king, for he was the king. And so the farmer returned home and kind of held his head a little bit low and opened the door. And, oh, Caitrin, oh, we're in trouble. And, oh, Papa, what's the problem? Oh, Caitrin, I did exactly what you told me not to do. And the king said exactly what you said he would said. And now we've been presented with these 3 questions, these 3 riddles. And these riddles, they are tough. They are difficult. I don't know. And if I don't answer them by this time tomorrow, off with my head. Oh, Papa, what are the questions? And so he told her what the questions were. And she said, oh, Papa, you silly man, come here and let me whisper those to you. And you can return tomorrow And so she did just that. And she told him the answers to the riddles. And so he returned the next day to the king. Not real sure of how this was going to turn out, but he trusted his daughter. And so he requested an audience with the king and returned. And, I see you've come back. Yes, I've come back. Well, do you have the answer to the riddles that I presented? What is the swiftest thing? Well, Your Majesty, the swiftest thing is a thought, for it can go from one end to the other in the blink of an eye. That's good. And what is the sweetest thing? Oh, my lord, the sweetest thing is sleep. For when you are tired or when you are sad, is there nothing sweeter? Good answer. Now what about the third? What is the richest thing? Oh, my lord, the richest thing is the earth. For isn't that where we get all of our treasures and riches? Ha! Very good, very good. Now, did you come up with these on your own? No, your lord. I did ask my daughter, Caitrin. Aha, this Caitrin. She's a very clever girl indeed. But I have another task for you to ask her. And he called for one of his servants, and the servant went off, and he came back with a basket. And the king presented this basket to the farmer, and he says, "Here, I have a basket of 10 eggs. I want you to take these to Caitrin, and tomorrow I expect you to return with 10 chicks. And if you don't, off with your head." Now, at this time, Poppy started thinking that the king was maybe a little bit crazy, but he'd been threatened with losing his head, and he certainly wasn't going to argue with him, for he was the king. And so he said, "Yes, my lord." And so he took the basket and started heading home, and began worrying and wondering what on earth he was to do. And he gets home, "Caitrin! Caitrin, come quick! Oh, Caitrin, we are in really big trouble." Papa, didn't you tell the king the answer to the riddles? "Oh, yes, Caitrin, I did. And now he's presented us with these eggs, and he expects us to hatch them and bring him 10 chicks tomorrow." "Oh, Papa, you silly Papa. This is what I want you to do. Take a handful of millet and return right this instant to the king, and tell the king that with this millet he should plant the grain, and he should grow the grain and harvest the grain by tomorrow, and then he'll have fresh grain to feed to the chickens. Go, Papa, go now." "Oh, Caitrin, I don't know if this is a good idea." Papa, it'll be okay." "Okay, Caitrin." And so he did just that. He grabbed a handful of millet and held it preciously as he headed back to the palace, and came walking back in. And "Back so soon, I see." "Oh, yes, my liege." And what is it that you have there?" Well, my lord, you told us to bring back 10 chicks. And well, Caitrin, she said that if you would plant this millet and grow a crop and harvest it, and all by tomorrow, then you would be able to feed you would be able to feed fresh grain to the chicks, that she would bring the chicks to you tomorrow. This Caitrin, she is clever indeed. And if she is as comely as she is clever, I think I should like to meet her. "Oh, yes, my lord, she is very clever indeed, and very, very beautiful, if I do say so myself." Now, I want you to do this. I want you to tell her to come to me. I want to see her tomorrow. But here are the rules. For she must come neither at dark nor at daylight. She must arrive neither walking nor riding. And she must arrive neither clothed nor naked. And by the way, if that does not happen, it'll be with both of your heads. Yes, my lord. And so Poppy, he returned home. Caitrin! Caitrin! Oh, come quick! Papa, Papa, what is it? Oh, Caitrin, we are in really big trouble. Papa, Papa, what's the matter? And so Papa told her what the king had requested, the quest that they would have to undergo, and how she would have to arrive to the palace. Oh, Papa, Papa, you worry too much. Sweet Papa, go and get me the fishing net. The fishing net? Yes, Papa, the fishing net. We're not going fishing, are we? We need to pack and just leave this land and get out. This is a dangerous place. We don't need the fishing net. We need to go. Papa, Papa, trust me. You trust me, don't you, Papa? Oh, Caitrin, yes, I trust you, but the fishing net? Yes, Papa, the fishing net. So the very next morning, Caitrin awoke early, and she got up, got undressed, and she wrapped that fishing net around her so that she was neither clothed nor naked. She went out to the barn and she got her Papa's favorite nanny goat. And so she straddled that nanny goat so that one leg was up on the nanny goat and the other one was dragging along. And therefore she would arrive with neither walking nor riding. And she left so that she arrived at the palace just as day was breaking. Now the guards, they saw this very strange thing coming forward, and they began to laugh, and what is this coming at us? And so she arrived at the guardhouse, and she told them that her name was Caitrin, and that the king had requested her to arrive. And so they didn't want to argue with the king either, and so they escorted Caitrin to the king's chambers. Oh, you must be Caitrin. Yes, my lord. And I arrived just as you requested. Oh, Caitrin, you are clever and beautiful indeed. And Caitrin, I'm going to make you my queen. You shall be queen, Caitrin. Yes. Well, okay, my lord. And so we shall have the wedding and the festivities, and we shall get started right away. Okay, my lord. And so they did just that. They planned a beautiful big wedding, and the people came from all over the land. And festivities lasted for days and weeks. And there were so many people coming into the palace area that there was not enough room in the inns. And so the farmers and the people coming, they had no place to sleep, and so they slept in the market squares. Now this one farmer had brought with him a mare, and while they were there, that mare gave birth, and the colt ran off and lied down underneath a wagon. Now the next morning, the owner of the wagon got up and he saw this colt underneath his wagon, and he proclaimed that colt must be his. The owner of the mare said, "How can it? You can't have, it's mine." And they started arguing and fighting, and a crowd gathered, and it got very, very loud. And the constables came and had to separate them and hauled them off to the king for his judgment. And so they presented themselves to the king, and the king, he was a little preoccupied thinking about his beautiful bride, Caitrin. And so he was listening, and he listened to the story, but a little preoccupied. And when it was time for his judgment, he, yes. Well, clearly, the colt belongs to the man with the wagon. Well, the man with the mare was dumbfounded, to say the least. You know, he'd lost a colt and had a judgment passed, but it was the king. What was he to do? And so he left, not really sure what to do, and there he saw her, Queen Caitrin. Now he had heard that Queen Caitrin was very wise and clever indeed, and so he thought that he should explain to her exactly what had happened. And so he told her his story. And Caitrin, she was embarrassed that her husband would make such a foolish judgment. But you see, she was absolutely forbidden from ever interfering in the judgments of the king. He had told her when they got married that he would love her, he would take care of her, but she must never, ever interfere with his judgment, knowing how clever she was. And he told her that if she ever did interfere, then she would go immediately back to Papa's house. And so she told the farmer what he needed to do. She says, "This is what I want you to do. Tomorrow morning, the king will be going on a hunting party. And he'll have his hunting party with him, and they'll be going up the dusty road. And I want you to take a fishing net and stretch that net out across the road. And when the king arrives, he'll laugh and he'll look at you and, 'My good man, what are you doing?' And you'll reply that you're catching fish. And when he asks you how you expect to catch fish in a dusty road, you can respond to him that you are as likely to catch fish in a dusty road as what a wagon is to give birth to a colt. But you must promise me, and this is very important, you must promise me that you will not tell the king that I told you to say these things." And so the farmer, excited that he had the potential at least of getting back his colt, he said he would. And so the next morning, got up early and he stretched that fishing net out across the dusty road. And just as Caitrin had said, the king and his hunting party came, and the king saw this strange man standing here with a fishing net stretched across the road. My good man, what is it that you're doing?" "Well, my lord, I'm catching fish." "How can you catch fish on a dusty road?" "Well, my liege, I can catch fish on a dusty road just as simply as a wagon can give birth to a colt." The king realized what had happened, and he recognized the man. My good man, you're right. I shall reverse my judgment. The colt belongs to you. But in order to do that, you must tell me who told you to do this. Now the farmer, he tried to resist as long as he could, but the king was persistent. After all, he was the king. And so he finally got out of him that it was Caitrin that had shared what to do. Well, the king was very angry, and he returned back to the palace. Caitrin! Come right here now! Have you forgotten what I told you that you must never, ever do?" "No, my lord." "You must never interfere with my judgment. Do you not remember me telling you that?" "Yes, my lord, I remember." "And what was the consequence?" "Well, my lord, I would have to return to my father's home." "That's right, but I don't want you thinking that I am an unjust king. So therefore, you are allowed to take with you the one thing that you treasure the most. But you must gather that and leave immediately." "Oh, my lord, thank you very much, but my lord, might I ask just one favor?" "Yes." "Well, my lord, we've enjoyed our time together, haven't we?" "Well, yes, we have. But you knew the consequence." Yes, my lord. "Well, my lord, I would just ask, might we have one last meal together?" "That sounds like a very good idea." And so king went off to do kingly things, and Caitrin worked with the cook. And she had the cook prepare a beautiful meal of ham and turkey and other heavy foods. And she got with the wine steward, and she had the wine steward bring the king's favorite bottle of wine. And when the meal was ready, the king came and he sat down in his favorite chair, and he ate, and he ate. And as he ate, he drank, and he drank, until finally he fell asleep in his chair. Now Caitrin called the servants over and told them to be very, very quiet, and to carefully lift the king in his chair into the wagon that was waiting to go back to her father's home. And so they did just this. She was still the queen. And so loaded him up, and she took him back home to Poppy's house. And she knocked on the door. Poppy, Poppy, come quick. And he opened the window. Caitrin, Caitrin, what are you doing here at this hour of the night? Have you gone mad? Poppy, Poppy, just come and open the door, and please be quiet. And so Poppy came down and he opened the door, and he saw there standing the servants holding the chair with the king in there. Oh, Caitrin, you've stolen the king. Oh, Caitrin, we are in really big trouble. Papa, Papa, quiet. It will be okay, but please keep your voice down. And so she instructed the servants to take the king up to her bedchamber and to put him into the bed. And she came and she told Papa what had happened. And then she went up there and crawled in bed next to the king. Well, in the morning, the rooster crowed, cock-a-doodle-doo! And the king was startled, for he had never, ever heard a rooster crowing from his royal bedchamber. He jumped and he looked around, didn't recognize anything, and there was Caitrin. Caitrin, Caitrin, what? Where am I? And what are you doing here? My liege, you instructed me to leave, but you told me that I could take with me the one thing that I treasured the most. And my lord, that one thing is you. Oh, Caitrin, Caitrin, you are very clever indeed. Come, we shall return home and rule together. And they did just that. They returned home, and never again did the king pass judgment without his queen, Caitrin. Thank you very much.